Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to preview the Melbourne Storm as part of our series going team by team through all of the NRL squads for the 2025 NRL SuperCoach season. So I feel like I've said this for the last few teams that have been on this preview list, the Seagulls and the Sharks, the last couple I suppose, but very settled squad in Melbourne. So I think it does make it a bit more predictable in terms of what we can expect from them, which obviously helps. And in some cases, because they're so settled, you sort of already know the value is pretty close to where they're at, so it probably doesn't offer as much opportunity for that value. But in saying that, we'll kick off at fullback. I'll scroll down just a little bit so you can see Ryan Papenhuyzen's price there at 600k. When SuperCoach first opened, I sort of had him in as one of the fullbacks, just given that for what his upside is, he offers really great value. I've since then sort of started to go to the higher price guys that are probably a little bit more reliable. But given I think he's injury free for the first time in a long time. It looks like Munster's going to be back from the start, which is massive. It's one of those things where he could potentially go off in price, so it's a gamble, but one I would be willing to take, and I can understand if others wanted to. Currently at 10% ownership, so it's pretty nice point of difference in my opinion. The centre wing line, like I said, it's pretty settled. Warbrick and Coates on the wings. Meaney, Howarth in the centres. Might be a little bit of competition from Fa'alongo. So I guess his utility might sort of let him down a little bit, but he can fill in anywhere and do a job. But as you can see, they're all sort of priced 400 and up. A few people interested in Howarth just because he is the cheapest. But and you could get 150 out of him if he has a bit of a run, and then flip him. But it's one of those things. I think he'd be a bit more of a slower burn to start. In the halves, Munster and Hughes obviously as starters. So Hughes probably a little bit overpriced, just given that he did take on a lot of responsibility once Munster went down injured. But with Munster back, I know a lot of people are keen on his value. I guess probably the one thing to caveat with all of these Storm player picks, because there is lots of great options, but they do have a tough run to start with. They have a bye in round 2. They then have the Panthers in round 3. So, a lot of people are keen on Munster, but I'm happy to have a look, wait and see how he goes after the Panthers game. And sort of the same with Papenhuyzen. If they sort of have a big game and you need to jump on them before their price changes, well, I think so be it. Tyron Wishart, obviously, if he's starting, is a nice option, but he'll play that bench utility role, and this 550k will diminish very quickly. The forward pack, so probably the most interest would be around Stefano, coming across from the Tigers. People saying, well, players always come to the Storm and improve, but he already is an Origin player coming across from the Tigers, so there should be some improvement, but whether it's worth starting him at 529k, I'm not convinced. Keep clicking the players when I just want to see the ownership. At 11%, I mean, that's probably about right for what I would have thought the ownership should be. So you could go with Stefano if you chose to. Eli Katoa, obviously, exciting edge player, but at 700k, again, with the rough start, I don't know if the value's there. Sean Bloor does offer a bit more value. He sort of spent last year just establishing himself in the squad. and spent large parts of last year without Munster feeding him on that edge. So here's another one I know some players are keen to get on at value, um, although only at 1% ownership. So, could be super pod sort of territory. But again, if he goes good after the Penrith game and we have to get him in at that price, we'll make moves to make that happen. Liero solid, King solid. The rest of the bench pretty much on value. Harry Grant, obviously the best hooking option in terms of elite hooking options in the game, but again, tough start. Um, for about 100k cheaper, you could get someone like a Connor Watson, who's probably going to play the big minutes as well, and has a little bit of a nicer draw. I think the Storm, basically because of their tough fixtures, start with are a watch. But in saying that, I do like Pappenhausen and Munster at the price, and Blore potentially as well. Harry Grant, if you just want to set and forget at hooker, I understand, but I think there's better value options at hooker this year, so that's where I'm looking. But yeah, nice and easy. Melbourne Storm should be up around the finals, so we'll see how they go. But yeah, if you got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you're enjoying the team by team previews. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.